Hey people, I'm fixing to dump some Masonic secrets that the highest degree Master Masons don't know. You know, it's no secret that they worship Hiram Abiff as the master architect of Solomon's temple, and you can see him here with the two columns of Jackals and Boaz and the plants, and he's standing in the hex, and the cherubim are guarding on the top of the columns, and they believe Hiram Abiff, known as the widow's son, to be the chief architect of King Solomon's temple, and they believe that Thoth is the master architect of the universe and the creator of language. You know, Thoth is their god. So I ran into this. You know, I read this in that movie yesterday. You know, in To Make Amid Satan All Israel, and I'm gonna put that movie in this folder. It all goes together. But I showed where, you know, all, they say it means against here, but sometimes they say it means with, and stood up Satan with Israel. But I went to reading the rest of this chapter here, and it steered me to this movie I'm fixing to make right now. But you know, they say that the architect Hiram Abiff, he was murdered when he left the temple. He was murdered by 3 ruffians as an unsuccessful attempt to force him to divulge the Master Mason's secret passwords. And they're right here in the Hebrew Bible. You can find them. And so as a third degree Mason, they'll feed you some bullshit story that came out of the King James Bible. And it's just to hide the truth. So this was in 1 Chronicles 21. And Chronicles is your Greek word for a clock. And stood up Satan with Israel and moved David to number, and so he set out his men to get numbers of his troops and the other troops there, and the ones they were warring against, to go. They want to know the numbers of them, and it come out to the sum of the number from cipher map code of the MO has, the modus operandum has of the people, as the types of the way they get things done. And this number come out to be, it had Israel 1,000,000 and 100,000. So 1,000,000 is 1,000,000 and 100,000. They had 1,100,000, 1,000,000 and 100,000 men who drew swords. That was the men that were armed. And so there's no telling how many slaves they had with them. So, you know, they had 1.5 million people out there they had to feed. And then Judah had another 470,000 men who drew swords. You know, so there's at least 2 million. And then I got down here to the judgment for David's sin. And, you know, we know this means divide and sin, and I knew the clues would be in here. And so as I read this on down, you know, this word they have, sinned, is the chat that. And so down here to 8, it was to yammer, to make word divide, and Lamiel, backwards and forwards after this tack. Lamiel, Lamyela. Lamiel is another word for Lucifer. It's the archangel Lucifer. Lamiel, the allies. To make word divide, the Lamiel, the allies. The Lucifer, the allies. The chat, CHTH, the chat that I made, raise osity, O-S-I-T-Y, osity, to raise the greatness to. Army of David's working with Lamiel, Lucifer. Lucifer is the allies, the chadat, the magic words, to made raise, backwards starts with A, R-S-A, raise, to made raise, osity, greatness. And so made it down a little farther, and you see a famine or 3 months to be defeated by your foes. And see, your foes is this Chiro, the Chiro of the Catholic Church, mapping the Kurtz Rick, the K-I backwards and forwards, the K-I-R-X, Kirch. You know, the Latin pronounced the X as C-H, K-I-R-C-H, the Kirch. And so the Kirch is also the regulation part of a clock. You wind the clock up and it spins freely, and the Kirch is the pendulum that times it. It's a Kirch. And then it got down here to, and with the angel of Yahweh destroying throughout all the territory. You know, the angels is, and from lack, U-M, the bars lack, you, from shit, M-S-H-I-T, from shit, destroying, and call. And then come down here to David's repentance, spares Jerusalem. And it's Husail, to make sail, S-H-L-H, you know, and sent. That sail, it'll, most of the time it'll be a, and he went, and he gone, and he sent. To make sail, the allies, to send away the allies from Yel. You know, so the allies was, Lucifer was your ally, and to send him away from Yel. Hells, H-L-S. Hells make two. Go back to hell. Who sell the allies from Yel. Hells make two. Go to hell. You know, we hit this wall and we read that backwards. Then here, there's the angel from lack, you know, from without, from not having, from lack, and then the wall to call from, K-A-L, to call from. And the lie rustles, you know, the final M is not an M, it's a S. The lie rustles, the place where you're wrestling it up, or the lie of rustles, the place of creation of the shitty, S-H-I-T-E, to destroy it, less shitty, of the shitty, to cash it, and he was destroying it, but this is actually to cache it, to hide it. You know, when you shit in the field, you bury it, to cache it. Ray, the ray, you, to make nose, you know, vav, yod, to make N-H-S. N-H is your spelling for Noah. It's just plain N-H, so H is O, nose, depending on where it is. In the beginning it's a chit, and after a consonant it's a no, ho, nose, to make nose. The ray, to the first Aya, and Aya is the brightest star in a group of stars, is Aya. You, to make nose, all whore, E-O-R, a whore, hero is the disasters, the hero. Usually they say hero is the evil one, the evil things. Everything to hero is evil, wickedness. And the heroes to yammer, to make word of Malak, to the angel who was destroying, of Malak, them shit, them S-H-I-T, of Malak. This is where your word malice comes from. Malice, desire to cause pain, injury, distress. Of Malak, of malice, them shit to his destroying. And revout, R-V-O-T-E, revout. Revolt, the rev part is you rev your engine, and it means, to turn around quickly, to rev. And to rev out the rapid, E-R-P-I-D, the rapidic, rapidly, rapid. And from lack you amid, and from you're not amid, from lack you amid, as the threshing floor of Oren the Jebusite. And so this is read backwards and forwards. Near, from lack you amid, as near grin, G-R-N, and they trying to say that's grain. That's where this threshing floor comes from. The grin of Oren. So this actually starts with A and it reads backwards. This is N-N-R-A, Nanar. The grin, near grin, Nanar, the Jebusi. There's no Jebusite here. It's the I-B-U-S-I. And it means they, E-Y, they in use work. And this is they in connect the secret works. The ibis. The ibis, that's Thoth. These are ibis. The architect. And so I look at this word, these three words here, and most of the time they come up together. And you see, it's only here, and it's 9 times here, and then 2 more times at one time, and these are all right here in this Chronicles 21. Chronicles 21. And it's always near grin of Nanar. Nanar's sin is the god of the moon. Nanar sin, the sin, Thoth, is the moon. The god of sin, Nanar, Enki, Iya, sin. And so near grin, Nanar, the ibis make. The ibis make is the architect, the ibis, the architect of the universe. The ibis yod, to make. This is the grin of Nanar. If you turn this is the mouth. And so near grin means close to a new moon. Near grin. Is when a new moon, when you're coming up to a new moon, with the new moon, the moon disappears. It's all in the dark. And that's why it's called Chronicles. It has to do with time. And so near Nanar, the ibis make, the architect of the universe makes. This means you're close to the beginning of a month, either the day before or the day after. It's the grin of Nanar. Hey, let me have one of them nanners. So this only comes up here in this chapter, 1 Chronicles 21. as near Grin Nanar the Ibis make. And in Grin Nanar the Ibis make. And so after I read this Nanar, this one, in this 10, 11 times here in this Chronicles 21, I've never seen it in the Bible before. That's what caused me to look that up. And I seen that it comes up one more time in 2 Chronicles 3:1 at the beginning. And it's still David the threshing. Not the threshing floor, or the threshing of Nanar the Jebusite. And so I knew this was going to be all the clues here. And so when I started to read this in Chronicles 2:3, the temple construction begins, and I saw that it ends, with the columns on the left and the right, jack and bows. And I started to read this first chapter, and I seen that I was getting every word. It was really easy to read. So I pulled it off and I put it beside the Greek, and I do that every time I got one down, and it helps me to learn the Greek. So this Solomon, this is a Greek word. It's solo moon, one moon. There is no Solomon in the Hebrew. It's solemn. And it's to make chill. To make chill, solemn, loving what to. You sitting underneath the tree all by yourself, solemn, and loving what? LVNWT. Loving what to. Tie in it. Backwards and forwards after this tack. To tie in it. And then backwards and forwards again. To have you. EVEYEWE. To tie in it, have you, by Russell's Bear. Them where ye raise nare. And so by Russell's Bear, that's the ancient Ophiuchus, and he's bear, and he's wrestling the serpent. Got the serpent between his legs. And so this Ophiuchus, this is the old Greek Latin name for it. But he sits here at the brightest star in it is the wrestle cue, is the Alpha, the Aya, the bright star. All the constellations, the bright star will be the Aya, the brightest star of that constellation. And it sits here just about 10 on the 17th hour. So back the time this was written, it was probably closer here to the 17th hour, and down here about 10 degrees. You can adjust everything about that far, and they all move due to precession of equinox. And it was the Greek Ophiuchus, Ophi, the serpent bearer, represents a man grasping the snake. Its abbreviation is the Oph. And the brightest star is the Wrestlehag. And so who to make chill, solemn, loving what to tie in it, have you, by Russell's Bear. Them where ye raise Nero, the brightest star, Aya, had appeared. The near Aya. You're staring up at the sky, and you're wrestling up these these constellations around the brightest stars of divide we make in knowledge, backwards, starting with A-W-E, we make be in knowledge, to raise the kin in from fuse, to bring them all together, all the stars that are kin to it, in from fuse, divide in grin, nanar, the ibis make. So in the Greek it starts with this key, and this key represents this letter Vav, which was a Vav key. It's like a cotter key that holds your wagon wheel on. It means connected. And so this could be represent a W, a V, or it could mean connected, or and, or to. So it goes with this HR, where. Where sat to, solo, by yourself, the solo moon. And so this is the book of the moon and Jupiter over here, the Hebrew. And this is the book of the sun and Saturn. And so it doesn't necessarily read the same, and it was written at a different time. But it's where sat to the solo moon. And so, the solar moon is the ibis, nanar sin. To the Wicca domain, the Wicca. And you see this OI, that's the base word they'll say means no. And they say nay means yes. And it's oui, as in French, as in yes, the oui. Pronounces as we. The Wicca domain in Ton. In that movie yesterday, Ton is fashionable, style, distinction. It often comes across from this two with a tack on it. But the Ton, the week on, the Wicca domain of fashion, the week on care you see, of the Lord, of Yahweh, Y-E-U, Y-E-W-E-U, Y-O-U, to care you, to have you, to care you in. And this E-N, it'll replace the B, where it's in Jerusalem here. It's in, be in Jerusalem. In make rustle from, in make rustlum, and I believe this O is like the A. You see in this last word for nanar starts with the A, R, N, N. See, it starts with the O, R, N, N. I believe the O is their symbol to read this backwards. The nanar, alun, anar. A lunar, a loon. And so it would read the same as this bear, B-E-R, the B-I-E-R-O, the barrow. Make rustle in bear, make rustle from bear. To Amoria. And you see the A at the beginning and the end here, replacing the E. M-U-R-I-E-A-M-O-R-I-A. Amoria of them where ye raise. The bear to Amoria of the oath, the this has appeared as in to see. Ophthalmus is the eyes, the oath. And but Oph was the bright star of Ophelia. And then you see the Lord is different here. The Curyu and the Curios, the Carios. The little little resemblances in your grandma's cabinet, the curio cabinet. That resembles of to divide to. And so there's two different O's here in the Greek, and this O represents the end or the last, to mark the end, mark the last, to divide, to mark the end. And the patri, the pa, the face of three, the face of three, patri, what to end, be in, the mark of the end, top end, T-O-P-O, the top end, the last. And then the chat, the H, chat, the chat-tuum-ace, divide, in the alun nanar, the alun nanar, O2, Ibuseo, the Jebusite, that to make in C connect to S. And so this is the S for fire, consume. They got that different. This is the S for secrets. And to make in the use, the C-U-Y-O-U, to make in, to use C, to say you. I'm going to make this in a couple parts. I'm going to read this entire chapter. It's not too big. And it's just, it's just 17 lines. And when it's talking about the dimensions and materials, it really gives off here when it starts coming off of the numbers. And you see Osiris is 20. And this 600, this isn't 100, this is from aught, and this means 6 from 0, from aught. Aught means the smallest part of iota, and the smallest part of the Greek I is a little dot on the top of it, and that's what from aught means, is that dot from decimal, 6 from decimal. And so 6 from decimal doesn't mean 600, but 6 from aught is 6 from decimal. And this Osiris doesn't mean 20. It means Osiris. And this is the star of Osiris. When Osiris died, he believed he was going to go to this star. And it used to sit with the precession of equinox. It used to sit here too, and it was sitting 6 and 20. That's where that 20 comes from. It's not 20, it's Osiris at 6 o'clock. And so the rest of it gets real easy to read, and it's because they still use the same old star names and the same old constellation names. And the brightest stars are still the brightest stars. The colors are still the same colors. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here, and I'll make another part and see how far through this chapter I can get. Alright, good day.